Ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment you've been waiting for the first time together, the stars of the show. Your drives and teams for this season. This is the class of F175.
2025 marks the 75th anniversary of Formula One. In recognition of this special diamond anniversary, we thought it fitting to highlight the most dominant car from each of F1's nearly 8 decades. Now, of course, there may be some more memorable cars or race performances over the course of any given decade, but let's look at the most dominant. Beginning with the 1950s, a challenge presents itself. Throughout the first half of the decade, there were a number of dominant cars. There is the Alfa Romeo 158 and 159, the winning car of the first 2 championship years. Then there's the Mercedes W196, made famous by Juan Manuel Fangio and Stirling Moss. However, right in between these 2 dominant cars lies the most statistically dominant car, and not just of the 1950s. It's Ferrari's beautiful 500 F2. Alfa Romeo's withdrawal from Formula One motivated the governing body to race the 1952 and 53 seasons according to Formula 2 regulations. Ferrari would build a car specifically for these regulations instead of trying to take and make an existing car comply with the rules. The result was the 500 F2. Powered by a 2-liter straight 4-cylinder engine designed by Aurelio Lampredi, Lampredi's engine was capable of producing around 180 horsepower. This allowed the 500 to not just rule Formula One throughout 52 and 53, it was practically rolling destruction. Its most dominant year would be the first. 8 rounds comprised the championship that year, and excluding the Indianapolis 500, a 500 F2 won every single race along with the fastest lap honors. Now, the Alfa Romeo 158 enjoyed such a feat in 1950, winning every single round excluding the Indianapolis 500. However, there were only really 6 rounds of the championship that year compared to 7 in 52. So while the 158 likely could have won another, statistically it still falls short. But what separates the 500 from the 158 and Mercedes W196 is the second season of 1953. 53 featured one more race, and Maserati closed the gap with its better top-end speed. However, the top-end speed advantage could not stop the 500 from matching its 7 wins from the previous season and 6 more fastest laps. When just considering 1952, and including Indianapolis in the mix, the 500's winning percentage was over 87%. Compare this to an impressive winning percentage of over 85% for the Alfa Romeo 158 in 1950. But now count that second year. Between 1952 and 53, the 500 would win a remarkable 14 of 17 races. That gives the Ferrari a winning percentage of over 82%. In the case of the 158-159, the winning percentage drops from over 85% in 1950 to over 66% when adding 1951 into the picture. It is a similar story for Mercedes' W196. Its claim to dominance is not only hindered by its late introduction in 1954, but the terrible tragedy in the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1955 that caused some 4 races to be cancelled. Such dominance enabled Alberto Ascari to become Formula One's first back-to-back world champion and helped to cause Ferrari and Formula One to become synonymous. Here is one of those Ferrari 500s. 208-F2 is the 4th of 5 customer 500 F2s and was sold to Écurie Francorchamps in time to take part in a non-championship race at Chimay on the 1st of June 1952. Unfortunately, the car suffered a crash in that race, but would be repaired in time to take part in its first Formula One World Championship race, the team's home race, the Belgian Grand Prix. Driven by Baron and team co-founder Charles de Tornaco, 208-F2 finished a solid 7th, some 3 laps behind race winner Alberto Ascari. Roger Laurent improved that result by 1, finishing 6th in that year's German Grand Prix, just missing out on a championship point. Highlights for 208-F2 came in 1953 with a 2nd place in a non-championship race in Sweden with Laurent driving, followed by another 2nd place in Chimay in May. But the real highlight for the chassis in 1953 came in July at Berlin on the Fast Avus circuit. Jacques Swatters drove 208-F2 to its first and only victory. Following the 53 season, 208-F2 would be converted to the updated 625 chassis specifications and continued to race into 1954 before being traded in by the team for a new 750 Monza sports car. But speaking of 1953, this chassis, 001, has a much more heralded history. Piero Taruffi managed to finish 2nd in the non-championship Syracuse Grand Prix in 1952. The chassis was driven by legends like Taruffi, Luigi Villoresi, and Alberto Ascari. However, in 1953, 001 became almost exclusively the mount for British driver Mike Hawthorn. And in the hands of Mike Hawthorn, 001 was transformed into a race winner. Its first victory would come in the non-championship BRDC International Trophy race held at Silverstone in early May. Another victory came at Dundrod just a week or so later. But 001's greatest victory certainly had to be Hawthorn's first in the Formula One World Championship, the French Grand Prix held on the 5th of July. It wasn't a race won by sheer dominance. No, the race descended into a titanic battle between Hawthorn and the great Fangio in his Maserati, often passing each other over multiple times per lap, or seen drag racing each other down the long straights. The French Grand Prix turned into a match race. The battle was so fierce among the two that legend has it Luigi Villoresi, when passing by the crew in the pits, simply pointed forward and slightly shook his head with an awestruck little smile. It was an incredible race and an important win for Hawthorn. With the right car, he could challenge for wins, and a Ferrari seemed to be that right car, as he would become world champion in 1958 driving a Ferrari 246. If you enjoyed this video, please comment, like, and subscribe. Please visit the links in the description below to check out more information, such as any images, videos, or music used to make this video. Also, remember to go and check out conceptcars.com.